Hello guys, this is Andrew and Jonathan with Universe Z here, doing a deck overview for King Cold. Personally, my favorite coming out of the new
Yeah,
set. Super fun deck. I love it. It's like a control
yeah. Honestly,
mid-range. Plays so many
one of
different
the most
ways.
unique,
Super awesome.
unique and fun decks that I've seen in a while. Yeah,
Yeah, I think they really. I think the uniqueness of the sets recently has been really, really nice for the game, and I think this one kind of like highlights how they're pushing the horizons, right? Like they're doing a lot of
yeah.
cool things. Not
Expanding the yeah.
yeah, just like different ways of playing Dragon Ball Super, and I got to give the hats off to the creative team or the team developing these decks because I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the let's go over King Cold. So basically, King Cold is a green field type based deck, and basically he wants to be playing as many fields as possible and utilizing those to his advantage. So he has a lot of different ways of popping them, a lot of different ways of activating effects off of the fields, and the fields themselves all have come into play effects generally, or effects that are beneficial. So cycling through them and playing as many of them as possible generally just gets you ahead. So it says permanent when activating a field of a green extra card with an energy cost of 2 from your hand, reduce that card's energy cost by 1. So all of your 2 cost fields become 1 cost fields. When this card is placed in your lead area, activate up to 1 King Cold's Dynasty. That's going to be the 6 mana field spell, and just go over that one quickly. Barrier fields. If your leader card is Green King Cold, place any number of mono green extra cards with the field skill in your battle area, or your mono green extra cards with energy cost of 2. Don't cause your other field skills to be placed in the drop area, and you can activate field cards that are copies of extra cards with the field skill in your battle area. So basically, condensing this card, it allows you to play as many fields as you want, but they cannot have the same name. Or at
Yeah,
least as many
one of each.
fields with the energy cost of 2. Sorry, but they can't have the same name as the one that's already out. So the max that you can have out, I believe, with the current cards that we have, is 5. Right, 4 of
Mm-hmm.
each of the 2 mana ones, and then it itself, which starts in play. And then
But
when you
having five doesn't really affect the math on some of the cards because they usually require like two of
four,
each
four,
pair.
yeah.
Yeah, four. So then having five different ones, it doesn't really like change
No,
much to the
it
deck.
doesn't really matter that much at all. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just so you guys know, and that one notably has barrier, so I don't think it's like very easy to get rid of. So
Yeah.
that's pretty nice. So when you activate a green extra card with the energy cost of 2 in the field skill, original energy cost of 2, add it to 1 card to your life and draw 1 card. And then when your life is at 4 or less, you untap 2 energy. Really nice because a lot of these fields have the effect to take a life themselves. And then the leader has the effect to take a life himself. So he can Turbo Awaken. Awakening turn 2 is pretty much a given with this deck if you draw the right hand, which is very easy to do. And you're almost certainly awakened by turn 3 if you're not awakening on turn 2. So it's really nice for a control deck to have develop its like unison and have energy up to defend the unison as well to make it really hard to get rid of. So I think it's really really good, and that's a play pattern that you're generally going to see with King Cold is getting that turn 2 just 10 or 11 or 12 cards in hand and having like your unison set up, a bunch of fields, all of your defensive interaction ready to go. And
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and
yeah,
it's really good. It works really good if you want to. The earliest that you can awaken, the best with this deck, because you can start doing like you can start leaving mana up. You can start doing other plays. You can start playing another different type of cards and just start pulling ahead with the other reactive cards with the deck.
yeah, I think it's definitely a really cool strategy. What it's trying to do, and then finally on the backside, he gets an additional effect where he goes activate battle, choose a green extra card with energy cost of 2 in the field skill in your battle area, place it in the drop area, and this card gets plus 10k power for the battle, which is very important because now you're turning these extra cards into combo power that you can use offensively and defensively once per turn to kind of push advantage. So you're not just playing the field cards and they're doing their cool effects, you're actually then converting the field cards into combo power and then recycling them and playing them again. So it's just it's just once again just building advantage slowly and
Yeah.
surely. It's just going to be hard to outgrind this deck. And yeah, so Jonathan, take us over the unison and your thoughts on that.
Well, let's start with the field spells, which is the
Oh,
most
the field
important
spells.
part
Yeah,
of the
let's do
deck.
the field
Yeah.
spells. Yeah. So we'll
So
start
we
with
have
this one.
a new ruler, which is one of the two most important. field spells that you want to have a 4 and max out of these two are the New Ruler and Anticipated Onslaught. The New Ruler, the main thing that it does is when you play it, you take a life and then discard and draw a card and discard a card. That just to help you
This one
self-awaken.
is you look at the top three and add a mono green.
But you do take a life anyway, right?
You take a life, look at the top three, add the mono
Correct.
green, and then when you place it in the
And
drop
then-
area, you draw this card.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah. So you still take a life and it still helps you self-awaken. And then you look at the top three for a mono. So basically the whole deck. You get to look for like that's another thing with this deck. It's super consistent. You get to see all the cards that you want to see super early on, and you get to like consistently awaken on turn 2, consistently do your plays on turn 1, 2, and 3, and keep doing it like repeatedly every turn. So that's this one, and then also yeah, as I said, when it dies, you get to draw a card, discard a card, so more cycling, more value there when it dies, and not only just sitting there after you use that effect. And then Anticipated Onslaught, which is probably the most important card when it comes to field spells in this deck, which is this one. If you leader is King Cole, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When the card is placed in the drop area, in the battle area, you draw a card, then choose one to mono green Frieza Clan's army with the cost 2 or less in your hand and play it. So the main target that you want to do with this one, it's Frieza, Revive, and Revive.
Revive
and Revived. Which it's a 4-cost mana card, but if you have 4 field spells on the field, its cost get reduced by 4.
It also counts your drop area as well. So any green extra cards on the field, their drop area.
Okay, so then if you have 4 in total, this card cost gets reduced by 2, and since you can play a 2 mana cost card for free, you get to play this guy for free. So it's already a lot of value in that. Like playing a 4 mana card for free, it's already like something to look up. And what makes this deck like probably tier 1, just gonna make an impact when it comes out. Like this deck is gonna make an impact just because like these kind of interactions that are like a little bit more unfair than any other deck. So his effect, it's dual attack, blocker, really 2 really good keywords. And when once per turn, you get to choose 1 extra card with energy 2 costs, all of them. Kill it, and you get to untap this card and make it a blocker and do another attack. So it's a really good extra like value that you can have for like, a 0 mana card. Again, you're investing zero mana for this card. So
it's a very, very strong interaction. Like it combos super well with Dormant. It combos super well with the Anthem, which is the next field card we'll talk about. So you're just able to just dump these guys out for free. And even if you're paying 2 for him, I would pay 2 for this card. I think 2 for this card is fine. But being able to play it for free with Anticipated Onslaught is where it starts getting like really strong. Like now you're playing multiple of these a turn, and multiple of these swing you for 25k. With the Anthem effect, that's going to kill your opponent very quickly if they don't have any type of
dual attack.
Yeah, dual attack is very, very strong. And the nice thing is about playing the card for free is you're going to get that energy to still have it on defense. So it's going to be hard for them to push through. It's really nice. So yeah, we have Terrified Realization. I see some decks not playing this, but I think you have to. I think it's just too good. It just pumps all of your battle cards. So it basically is a field spell that sits on the board and gives you like consistent combo power. Like all of your dual attacker that's now plus 10k. Every single one of your battle cards is going to get pumped by this because they're all Frieza Clan, Frieza Army except like the secret rare. It's going to turn your 5-drop Charismatic Villain into a 15k beater. It's going to turn your Coolers and your King Colds into 20k beaters. It's going to turn your boss monster into a 30k double strike dual attack. It's just so much, you know, like at a certain point, it's just a lot of value for one card, and its effect is fine when it comes into play. You draw a card and add a card from your life if you want to. So it just does what you want to. Yeah.
And having the Anton effect in the game at least is nice. It's adding another 5k to the combo power on each card that you have in the field, and it makes even the charismatic villain able to attack, which is something like No, every time that you see a deck with a Frieza charismatic villain, it's always just to sit there to do nothing, just a combo power. But now being able to attack, it makes like a little bit more like depth into these kind of cards, into adding these kind of cards that just are 15Ks, 20Ks, or do something, stifle the opponent's turn, and then also allow more pressure to go into the opponent.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth playing this at 2. And finally, Unstoppable Invasion is just a good card. It's not great in the early game, but it is very good at closing out the game. It's basically like you have to do it before your opponent, like, does anything, so they can negate obviously your leader attack once you do this or block it. So I'm not like huge on the card, but it is a great card to recycle at a certain
Yeah, I
point
know.
in the game where you're just like, hey, if you don't have a negate, you're dead. So I'm gonna just
Yeah,
recycle this and just pump
it's
my
a card
leader.
that says it's a card that says you have to negate my leader every turn. If
Yeah,
you don't negate my leader, it gets you can sacrifice this card. It gets 10K and 10K for the sacrifice. That's 35, and it gets double strike, base 35 double strike. It's really good.
yeah, I
It's
think
gonna kill the opponent.
yeah, it's gonna kill you, so it's really, really nice to have access to this card. I think it's worth it in the deck. It's definitely, in my opinion, the auto of when you play it, the weakest one, because it just doesn't draw you a card naturally, and then
Hmm.
obviously like your opponent can react since you have to do it preemptively to them getting plus 10k and double strike, but still very, very
Hmm.
strong. And then actually the part that I like the most about it is the second effect, is that when this card in your battle area is placed in the drop area by one of your skills, you can choose one of your opponent's unison cards and remove a marker from it, which makes it so that unisons are not as much of a threat as they are against other decks. One, you can recycle this and just like slowly kill off your opponent's unison. And two, if they decide to like give their unison double strike or triple strike, or do any type of effect where they're removing a lot of counters off of their unison for like a big turn, you can use this to reset the unison. Because it'll
Oh,
once a unison loses a marker, it resets all skills, which is just
yeah, that's another
very,
thing
very
that
broken
we
the
left.
combo step to do this.
Absolutely, making that if the opponent like tries to go in like in a unison, like ultimate the unison, you're a you're like a one mana unison now. I mean one marker unison right now, and then you try to go for game, and you just combo step, just kill the unison, so they can never do that again
Yeah, like for
against you.
example, it's a great example of this is one of the best, the Mecha Unison, right? Vegeta Unison
Hmm.
of Fury always puts itself to 4 counters, and then it's gonna -3 to rest your energy, get dual attack and double strike, right? And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden now that's just not a threat at all. Like that card
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
do anything. Like all it did was rest in energy because I'm gonna remove a
yeah.
marker and kill it. So now you have to play that thing
Hmm.
for 5 energy. And even if you do the effect, I can remove dual attack and double strike. Like it's just really bad
Hmm.
for you every single way about it. So I think it's
Yeah.
really, really, really good effect. Just have this sitting on the field defensively against decks that like use their unison to try and kill you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then one thing that we forego on the anticipated onslaught is that it also has
Oh right.
when it dies effect that once per turn. When this card,
When
I'm sorry, when a
when you
like,
kill any other field card except it,
yeah, hmm,
you get
correct.
to pop something 2 or less, which can come up. Yeah, a lot of hate cards like the green, I mean the black Goku that says when you activate a counter, you have to pitch a card. Obviously, you have a lot of counters in your deck, so you want to get rid of those. And this guy just every turn you can pop one, so your opponent just can't keep up with that. As long as you're just using your leader effect or using any of your other effects that pops fields, you're just getting rid of cards like that. And just anything on the board like small blockers that came out for free, just anything at all. You're just popping it for free. It's just for free. It's just
Yeah,
additional value, which is just great.
really
Um,
good effect too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we
Now
we have
to
the
the unison.
unison. Yeah, yeah.
You cannot play a different unison. This card just says you get an extra energy per turn when you plus one. So you get to play one extra card with two or less from your hand and activate it, its skills. So it just cheats out one of these extra cards and it helps you self awaken, turbo awaken. It tends to this guy that you can self awaken turn two. And it's really important that this is the only card that you can play regarding that kind of deck. So and the -1, it's just a good -1. It's just like for -1 you get to take KO something five or less. Since you have a lot of removal in general with this deck, so the few threats that are gonna slip through, then you can just pay -1 and then kill it. So it's just a good added value to this car. It's not the best, but it's not horrible. It's a really decent one. And then once they have three or more markers, then you also have to negate this leader. No, now you don't only have to negate the leader, but this unison too. Because at any point I can do -3 and give it triple strike, 5k power, and just go all in this one.
Yeah, I think that's like a very, very huge part of the deck is how good the Unison synergizes. Like, it's just so good at, once again, like all of a sudden, just like a threat that was generating this much value now ends the game like so quickly. Just triple strike is a very strong keyword, and having that on a Unison is just super, super good. So it's definitely just applying a lot of pressure, a lot of different ways. And like you said, it's activate battle, so they have to negate this. Like they just can't let it go through.
Yeah.
Like once it has
And then
four
and it becomes
markers.
like how many negates do you have? Because you can
Yeah.
play a long game with this deck, and eventually they have to run out of negates. Then they start to have to start out comboing these 35Ks, these 20K triple strikes. You're gonna pump a lot of cards into it. So like it starts to add up all those little advantages that you get to do with this kind of this leader.
Yeah, it's really, really nice how it all works together. So Berry Blue, I think absolutely like fundamental to the strategy. She's gonna help you
Mm-hmm.
search for your field cards and your unison when she comes into play, which is nice. Good turn one play if you're missing anything. Like if there's some hands where you open. I'm not playing like max number of field spells. I think that's incorrect. I'm not playing more unisons. I think you just play that one. And it's nice to have this effect to help you find those cards in case you miss on turn one or on your mulligan. So that's really nice. But mostly her strength is her activate main. So every
Mm-hmm.
turn you're gonna basically Roshi a field card into play. Every turn for
Which is
each one of these cards that you have out is just so much value. Like
it's
you just
strong value.
can't
Yeah.
outgrind this. Like you're popping them to pump your leader, activate your card's effects, and then you're just bringing them back and doing their effects again. Playing more battle cards for free, giving your leader 10, plus 10k in double strike, digging through your deck to find super combos, secret rare, counter plays, whatever you need for the situation. So it just helps you so much having this effect where you can just recycle infinitely your field spells. She's a must deal with threat. If
Absolutely.
a lot of times my opponents just don't bother using their removal on her, which is makes sense because they're threatened by other things. But she just wins the game. She's just gonna give you that card advantage, that raw just recycling
Yeah,
power. It's just so good in the
it's a
late game.
good late game engine, and it's gonna end the game.
Yeah.
It's gonna help you end the game and keep up with the opponent.
Yeah, super good card.
Then we have the Frieza Demolisher of Planet Vegeta. When this card is played, draw one card, a cantrip. For 2 mana, choose one extra card with energy cost of 2, and put it in the drop area. When this card is played, choose all of your opponent battle cards, KO them, and this card gets 16k. So it becomes on 20k, double strike onto the opponent next turn. So it's a board wipe when you need it. If it's any case of scenario where you need a board wipe, here you have an extra card that is just doing a cantrip or is doing some extra value. It's good against King Pickle. It's good against any kind of Swarmy kind of effect against Frieza, Mecha Frieza, I mean. And then all those kind of decks just trying to swarm you. You just have a board wipe in green, which
Yeah, it's
is
just a
good.
nice and board wipe to have. You can
Mm-hmm.
play it for free with anticipated onslaught, then pay the 2, pop everything. It's just really hard sometimes for your opponent to come back. There's a lot of decks that just lose to a board wipe like this. So, it's really nice to have access to it. And it's a very I think a
Oh, yeah,
niche
it's
card.
a 20k double strike,
Yeah,
so
it's a
it's good
niche
too.
card, and at worst, it's a one mana cycler. That you can
Mm-hmm.
combo off. So that's pretty nice to have access to. Dormant and Paragus, pretty self-explanatory. I mean, we're playing the staples in green. We want to be able to, defend ourselves and combo the most efficient way possible. And they just feel great in this deck, the same way they do in any other green deck, especially Paragus to get rid of the extra cards that you may have in your hand when your opponent's pushing for a game. And it just helps you dig through your deck. I mean, I think most games with this deck, I won with like less than like 15 cards, 10 cards left in my deck, just because of how quickly it goes through all of its resources. It
through
can
all the
really, which
cards.
is a
Yeah.
really big advantage. Like imagine your opponent may have the higher card quality, maybe, but you have just an overwhelming card quantity. Like you're just
Hmm.
playing more cards than them, and that's just gonna generate a victory most of the time. More than faster than they can play
Sagon,
cards.
yeah, self-explanatory. You can
Yeah.
also play it for free,
Hmm.
so it has a lot of synergies with the deck. You wanna, it's just a free good value to mana blocker.
Yeah.
That is gonna help you keep alive and hit the opponent's hand.
Yeah.
Then we have King Cold Supreme and Cooler. Explain this to Andrew.
Yeah, so King Cold, both of these are basically your premier counters. So one of them is like mini Topo, because you're gonna make him cost one, and he's gonna come down for as a 15k body that your opponent can attack you unless they pitch a card. Now it's not like full on Topo, like they can still attack your battle cards, they can still attack your Unison, but just being able to defend your leader is really what matters. Like they may be able
It's
to
good enough.
yeah, they may be able to kill other stuff, and not even necessarily because you do also have dormant and blockers and other
Yeah,
counterplays, and other negates. But as long as you're not dying, it should be okay because
yeah,
your
they're
turns
still
are
doing
very
a good
powerful.
top
Yeah,
impression. Absolutely.
yeah. So it's I mean for one energy, this card is just amazing. And also with
Hmm.
Terrified Realization being a 20k, a one mana 20k body with this type of effect is just super super good, super
Yeah,
good.
these two cards are the main cards that get like really like scary with Terrifier realization.
Yeah,
Like these two, you're gonna have multiple, and you're gonna keep playing them in each turn, and then eventually they're gonna add up when they're like you're doing it with all 20Ks in your turn. And
yeah, it's just
it's
really
really
strong.
gonna.
So you
Mhm.
have Cooler, Effortless Strike. Plays. It's basically hidden potential on a stick. If the battle card has an energy cost of 4 or less, it plays. It goes to the drop area instead. Once again, you're gonna make this card cost one. So it's gonna be a one mana card on your opponent's turn. And when this card is played, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, they choose one card in their hand and discard it. Notably, you don't have to counterplay 4 or less. Like you can respond with this to anything just to get a
Yeah,
body on board and make him discard a card, which is also fine.
they're
One
insane.
mana
Yeah,
for a 20k beater that makes him discard a card is also
yeah.
okay. So
It's a
Cooler's an
value,
insane
value,
card.
value on a card.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Cooler's an
Value
insane card,
and more
and
value.
it's probably gonna dictate some of the meta in terms of like, yeah, if your deck gets hit too hard by this, if it's like if you can't play through this plus a like freeze a counterplay, like you're just probably not gonna ever
A
be
sitting
able to
duck. Yeah.
beat King Cold because you're just
Uh-huh.
gonna get housed. So that's gonna be I think a meta defining card because of this deck. You're gonna need some threats that are higher than 4 energy, for sure, or that have deflect. So reduce the energy cost of this card by this is the boss monster, the pinnacle of the clan. Love this card. It's super super good. Unfortunately, it has a specified cost of 3, so you can't cheat it out with anticipated onslaught. Although that would be really busted if you could. But paying this guy for 3 is still really really good because with Terrified Realization, he's a 30k. He's got double strike. He's got deflect. He pops a guy, he rips a card out of their hand, and he attacks again. And it ignores barrier. I mean, he literally does it all. Like, there's no
Yeah,
situation where this guy isn't just like getting you extremely ahead or just outright winning the game.
yeah, it's a prime finisher for this deck, and it's good.
Yeah, it's just very
Never
very
know
good
this
card.
one.
You have Frieza, obviously counterplay, 15k body in this deck with the Anthem, which is really nice. And then finally we're playing the Ape Seeker rare just because you want to play a defensive Seeker rare in this deck. You have more than enough offensive pressure. I think defensive Seeker rares are premium nowadays. I think they're the kind of the way that the game is evolving towards, because a lot of the
Mhm.
decks just feel like they're strong, like they're gonna win the game. They don't need a big boss monster like the old Secret days. Like you don't need Celzino as much. Not every deck needs Celzino. Can you play Celzino in
Mhm.
this deck? Absolutely. You can make Celzino
Yeah.
infinite ways. Do I think it's the best option? No. Because this one's mono green, so it's searchable with any ruler, and it just forces your opponent into the situation where even if they know you have this card, it's just brutal to play against because you can't all in on a battle card. It's hard to kill with a unison because of unstoppable invasion, and you're gonna out combo like most leader swings pretty easily with like your leader effect or your blockers or your negates. Like so, and a combination with dormant, like it just forces them to a situation where like this guy's gonna live another turn. And then
Hmm.
again, he's gonna live another turn. And every turn that this deck lives is just so hard for you to come back because it's
And
gonna apply a lot of pressure.
a worst case scenario is always a 5 mana kill you.
Yeah, and then 5 mana, you didn't play into it. 5 mana, kill you. Okay. Yeah, like it's really hard to beat that part of the card too. So even if you see it coming, it's just sometimes inevitable. So I think it's a really nice secret rare for this deck, and it's cheap, so it's pretty good to pick up.
And you can search it out of the field spell, so
Yeah,
that's
that's the
another
best
high
part.
value.
Like, I mean, you're always gonna see it. Like, pretty much every
Hmm.
game I played with the deck, I've drawn this card. Like
Hmm.
it's just that easy to do. Like I just always have a secret rare in my hand. Like that's just extreme consistency, which I love. And yeah, that's our meta kind of like overview breakdown of King Cold. This is just my
Really
general
cool
list.
deck.
It's been performing
Hmm.
well. I haven't lost a game with it. So I think it's really really good. For what it's worth. Even as a base list, I've just kind of like looking at the cards, made a few tweaks, but not too many. I think just off the bat, it's really strong. There's obviously some other cards that work with King Cold. There's like a free negate. There's like actual other negates, like that are extra card negates that you can play. There's a lot of different things that you can do with the deck. But I think this is like a good baseline. Try it out. Let us know what you guys think. This is Universe Z checking out.